Hello and welcome to lesson 2 of week 11. In this lesson, we are going to look at list comprehension and how to sort lists in Python. My name is Mildred. In the last lesson, we created two lists and we looked at some of the operations or how we can perform different operations on lists. Let's use this list to continue. Let's say I change the items in this list to have items that starts with J and items that start with M for us to illustrate list comprehension. So let's say I want to have, in my list I have Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Martha and Jane. I want to create an empty list or name this my new list. And what I want to do with my empty list is to make it empty, indicated by a square bracket like this. I want to take all of the items in my list that starts with letter J and move them into my new list. We use a for loop for this. Now we've not looked at the loop, but it's just like this. For, we want to have an iterator, so we can say I or we can say name. Anything you want, you can give your iterator. So I want to say for name in my list, I want to do something. So in Python, when you use a loop like this, for name in my list, you put a colon and then you start on the new line. We want to say if name dot starts with J, we want to append this into the new name, saying my new list dot append name. And when we do this, at the end of the day, we want to print my new list. For iterator, it can be anything I, A, B, but this is going to be for each item in my list. You can make it easier for you to remember to say for each item. So for item, and we change all the occurrence of name to item. So we say for item in my list, if the item starts with J, append that to my new list. So let's print this to see how it looks. And so we have Jesus, Joseph and Jane, because these are the only three items that start with J. But this is a for loop way of writing this. We want to use list comprehension. Now, list comprehension is something you really need to understand for you to apply in software development. Another way I'll write this is, let's say I don't want to make the name my new list. I want to say names, let's say names underscore J is the name of my new list. So we have names J is equal to, now I'm going to take item, which is the iterator. So the syntax is expression for the item in the list or the iterable if condition. That is what the syntax is about. So expression is item. So for item, so I'll put item here. Item for item in my list if item that starts with J. This is how we write list comprehension. Now when we print names J, it's going to print out exactly what we printed out the first time. So we'll have both printed to be exactly the same. Now this might look a little complicated, but you need to take your time to study list comprehensions and you do it with better example. Okay, let's say for instance, we want to change everything to lowercase for instance. So let me say names lower is equal to item.lower for item in my list. So it's going to, item is the iterator, so it's just like saying for item in my list, we want to do the condition, which is make each item to lowercase. So this is how we do this in list comprehension. And when we print names lower, it's going to print out this all in lowercase. So I want you to practice comprehension for you to really understand how to do list comprehension. It's going to come in handy. You will actually use it a lot in software development, and it's a neater and shorter way of writing things instead of using for loops and all that. Let's say we want to sort lists. We can do alphanumeric sorting of lists in Python. You can sort numbers in ascending or descending order, sort letters in ascending or descending order. But in Python, uppercase letters are sorted first, so it is case sensitive. We use the sort method to do that. And so let me write this. We want to look at my list 2, for instance. So let's say my list 2 dot sort, and it's going to sort this in ascending order. So whatever comes first is going to come. And so when we print my list 2, we're going to have it sorted according to the letter. So we have James, Jesus, Joseph, Mary, Martha, Mary, and Samuel. If we want to sort in descending order, we'll specify a parameter here called reverse, and we'll set reverse to true, like this. And when we do this, it is going to sort it in descending order, which will be Samuel, Mary, Martha, like that. If we want to do a case insensitive sort, let's say we have mixture of cases and you don't want the case to be the problem, like you are sorting and uppercase letters are sorted first, you want to put my list dot sort, and then you want to put key, like this. Key is equal to string dot lower, and this way you stop the case sensitive sort, and it becomes case insensitive when it's sorted. You are going to see this when you have mixed cases, like some are upper and some are lower cases, and you want it to sort them in alphabetical order regardless of the case. You put key equal to string dot lower. If you don't want to sort but you just want to reverse the order of items, let's say my list 2 has Martha, Mary, Joseph, James, Samuel, Jesus. You want it to be Jesus, Samuel, James, Joseph, Mary, Martha. So what you do is you have my list 2 dot, you're going to use reverse. When I print my list 2, I'm going to have that reversed. If we want to make a copy of a list, you can't say, like when we say variable A is equal to B, it copies, but in lists you can't do that. When you want to make a copy of a list, you use the copy method written like this. Let's say my list 3 is equal to my list 2 dot copy. It's going to print out everything that you have in my list 2 now has my list. Another way to copy one list to the other is by saying my list 3 is equal to, we can use the list word like this, and in a pair of parentheses specify the list equal to my list 2, like this. So this is the same thing as what we just did. When I save this and I run, it's going to be the same. So let me print this. Let's look at how to concatenate two lists together. So I want to add all the items in list 1 and list 2. So I can say combine list is equal to my list plus list 2. And when we print combine list, we're going to have the combination of my list and list 2 printed out. So we said to look at more list method. We've looked at almost everything. I think we just have like 1 or 2 list methods that we have not looked at, maybe 2. We have the index, like we did in the last lesson, where you want to look at the first occurrence of a particular item in a list. You can use the index method. Let me just do that for you so that we know we're done with list methods. So let's say my list 1 has Jesus once and wants of Jesus appearing the second time. We want to look for the first occurrence of Jesus in my list. So we want to say print, we want to print it out. We want to print my list, but what we are printing out now is the index of the first occurrence of this. So I will say print my list dot index, and the index I'm looking for is that of Jesus. When I save this and I run, I have 0. The first occurrence of Jesus is at index position 0. So this is where we end this lesson. In the next lesson, we are going to look at tuples in Python.